Hey, we're back again. It's Drummer Daily. Welcome. My name is Daniel Hadaway. This is episode number 166. You can find show notes, if there are any, for this episode at danielhadaway.com/166. So today I want to talk to you about, I think recently I talked about a post that I saw on Facebook, and I'm actually going to talk about another post that I saw on Facebook in another drummers group. But this one really got me worked up because I think this is something that I see as a problem amongst many drummers who are trying to improve their playing, and how we as drummers in the drummer community sometimes hurt other people's improvement by our own opinions and our own advice. Okay, so like I've mentioned before, I'm a part of many different drummers groups on Facebook. And one of those, a drummer posted recently, and she posted a video of herself playing, or maybe some audio. But she said, hey, the band leader says that I need to work on my tempo by keeping a steady tempo. She's like, I play with a click track. And so, I'm trying to understand, maybe my tempo rises and falls a little bit within the beat or something. I just don't know. I don't know exactly how to improve, so maybe you guys can listen to it and tell me what you think. And so she posted the audio, and I listened to it. And what I noticed, well, I'll tell you what I noticed in a minute. But the first thing I noticed were the other comments from other drummers listening to it and trying to help her out. And they all said, man, I don't know what your music director, your band leader or whatever is talking about, because it sounds fine to me. You're landing on the downbeat with the right with the click. It sounds really even to me. And so, I don't know what they're talking about. You sound pretty solid to me. And she replied, I think, and said something like, well, I think what the music director meant was I kind of within the measure kind of speed up and slow down a little bit, but then I always kind of come back to the downbeat. And other people started replying and saying, well, that's what gives you your humanity. That's what makes you sound like you. That's where you get your groove from or your feel. We'd all sound like robots if you didn't do that or whatever. And I was like, but most people were just like, it doesn't even sound like you're doing, it's fine. As long as you land on the downbeat, you're fine. And I just started not really pulling out my hair, but I wanted to pull out my hair. I'm like, no, that is so wrong. Just wrong, incorrect. If you are speeding up and slowing down within a measure in a noticeable way, you are not playing correctly with a click track. You are playing with feel that needs improvement. Your feel is not good. It does not sound pleasing to speed up and slow down within a measure, and then all of a sudden you land on the downbeat and you're fine. And let me tell you why. The thing is, I've talked about this before, but I think there's an episode, I'll have to figure out what it was, but I talked about the other way of drumming. There's a deeper level of looking at our drumming that we all should be pursuing. And if you look at your drumming and just say, well, yeah, I'm landing on the downbeat of each measure, everything else in between doesn't really matter that much, as long as I land on the downbeat with a click. If you're approaching your drumming from that perspective, you are missing out, and you're not being as good of a drummer as you could be. I'll just put it that way. You really are. You're ignoring, I would say, actually a large majority of what can make you a great drummer and have great feel. And it's kind of like, I have a health coach that I work with, and he helps me with the diet choices that I make, but also the exercise and making healthy choices, and also becoming fit. I'm actually trying to gain weight right now. I don't know if I've talked much about it, but I have a chronic illness that has caused me to lose a lot of weight, and I'm trying to put on some healthy weight. And so that, of course, includes increasing my calorie intake, but also in a healthy way, cutting out a lot of junk, but also exercising and building up muscle, gaining some healthy weight. So part of that is for accountability. Every meal that I eat, I snap a photo of it and I send it to him. I text it to him. And it's just accountability. Sometimes he'll reply and say, great job, or, ooh, that's not so good, or whatever. But maybe he won't reply. But it's the important thing is that I'm doing it, right? I'm sending him 3 meals a day that I eat. Well, here's the thing. I could theoretically just in between those meals, just eat candy bars all the time or junk food or whatever. And it's not the 3 meals because I can't send them everything all the time. I'm not sending them 100 texts a day, but theoretically in between those 3 meals, I could just go off the rails and just eat horribly. And if I were to do that, what do you think is going to happen to my overall health? Well, it's not going to improve. It's going to probably get worse. And I might put on weight, but I'm not going to put on healthy weight, or I might get sick, or who knows what. But if he were to just look at that, the 3 meals a day, he'd think I'm doing a great job. And even if I was doing the exercise, but still eating that junk food, I still would not be supporting my body the way I need to. But from the outside perspective, if I'm just sending him those 3 meals a day, he's got the perspective of, well, the 3 meals a day are to look great. And so that's what we're using to judge the rest of my 24 hours of my day, even though I'm filling it up with junk. So in the same way, so if he were to, let's say, weeks, months later, I have put on all this unhealthy weight, or I'm just sick or whatever, he might start saying, hey, well, are you eating anything else during the day? And I'd say, yeah. And he'd say, well, what are you eating? I'm like, well, candy bars. And well, that's your problem, is that you're actually eating more junk food in between meals than you are, the healthy stuff you're eating for the meals is being drastically offset by all the awful stuff you're eating in between. And in the same way, as a drummer, I feel like the downbeat is kind of like our 3 meals a day, or like the kick and the snare is the 3 meals a day. It's the stuff that is the most important. But if we fill up the rest of the space with junk, then overall we're not accomplishing the goal. Now, I'm not telling you to sound like a robot, but I do believe that as drummers, we can stick pretty darn close to the click track, or objectively what would be a perfect playing with a click track. We can stick pretty darn close to that, and then use our dynamics as the main place to really enhance the feel of what we're playing. Now, on top of that, there is a place for, playing certain things behind the beat or whatever, but it's not necessarily speeding up and slowing down. And again, I've said this 100 times, I know. If you are not choosing to do something within a pattern, you're not really playing with feel. You have a really bad habit that you might luck into it working sometimes. But for example, if my tempo were to rise and fall within one measure of a song, and I always do that, then that's not going to apply to every single musical situation. And if I am not choosing to do that, then I'm not really playing with all of my ability. I'm just laying back on my habits and seeing what happens. And so I don't want you to do that. I want you to choose to play everything that you play. Every single beat, every single note, every single subdivision needs to be a choice that you are consciously making. And you got to be wired in to do that. But do not just look at the downbeat of every measure of your playing and say, yep, that sounds good, I'm good. That means it feels great. No, you've got to analyze every single piece of your drumming and seek improvement in every single piece. And if you're not doing that, you're never going to become the kind of drummer that you really have the potential to be. And you're not going to become a professional if you don't have that attention to detail. So if that's your goal, you got to do this. But I think we all can look in a little more detail into our drumming and become better drummers. And I think that means that can apply even if you're not a drummer and you're listening to this. Where are the areas of your life that you can really look at more detail and really seek improvement? That's possible, and it's worth doing. You don't have to become a perfectionist, but it's worth noticing details in your life and then seeking improvement where you think it might be valuable. So I hope that inspires you, and I really appreciate you listening and joining me today here on Drummer Daily. And we'll get together again real soon. Bye for now.